Chapter 1. Introduction to Health and Safety.
Hi and a warm welcome to our Level 2 Health and Safety course, which has been designed primarily for the catering and hospitality industry. My name is Nick Eastwood and this is one of our test kitchens. Today we've actually got a new member of staff, Paul, who's recently joined us, and we're actually going to walk and talk him through the Health and Safety course. Let's go and meet him. Hi Paul.
Hi Nick.
How you doing?
I'm alright, thanks.
Good? Still enjoying it?
Yeah, loving it.
Loving it, brilliant. Paul's only been with us a couple of weeks, so he'll change soon. All joking, all joking. Now obviously you've done your level 2 food handler training.
Yeah.
That used to be called Basic Food Hygiene Certificate, and you did that first day of joining our company. What we're going to do over the next couple of days is your level 2 Health and Safety course.
Okay, great. So what are we likely to cover in the next few days?
Okay, great question. What we're going to talk about predominantly is slips, trips, falls. You'll hear that quite a lot. Dealing with such things as kind of hot liquids, handling them carefully.
Yeah.
Personal protective clothing. We'll talk about fire, we'll talk about electrics. Quite important, we'll talk about the law. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else actually at the moment. But what we've actually done within this course is designed it purely and specifically for the catering industry and the hospitality industry. So we're not going to be talking about you working on a roof, yeah, or working in a cellar or underground or whatever. It is predominantly for our industry, which obviously covers both kitchens, front of house, venues, etc, etc.
Okay.
It's for our industry.
Fantastic.
So if you ever decide to leave, you can take the certificate with you and go and work in another part of the business.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's get started. Now, you will definitely get asked a question, what is health and safety? There's one on every single exam you'll see. What is health and safety? Basically, it's ensuring the health and safety of workers and, as importantly, members of the public within your business. So whether you're working in a restaurant or a venue or event catering, a kitchen, it's about protecting yourself and other co-workers, and it's about protecting the general public. That's the bit that you'll always get asked a question about. To be honest, I'm over here. Paul's been in the business a couple of weeks. He probably doesn't appreciate how hazardous a kitchen can be. If you actually think about it, there's a lot of dangerous materials within the kitchen. It's a busy working environment, and the chances of being injured are quite high. You, as a member of staff, have quite an important role to play in minimising those risks to what we class as an acceptable limit. That's what it's all about. A couple of quite interesting facts, quite frightening facts actually. There's over 150 people killed in a working kitchen environment every year. And as frighteningly, there's over 380 members of the public killed within the catering industry. So as you can imagine, it's quite a dangerous environment if not managed properly. With regards to injuries, there is 26,000 people in the food industry seriously injured every year. There's also another 95,000 people who have an injury that means that they're off work for 3 or more days. So you start putting those figures together. The fact he's new into the business, I don't want to scare him just yet. What we're going to do is talk through this course and really minimise those risks to an absolute minimum. Right, I'm just going to very quickly walk you through our test kitchen to show you some of the most common hazards and how you may injure yourself. First thing, you see this a lot in the kitchen, doors left open to cool down or food's coming in and out very quickly. First thing is I can walk into it, render myself unconscious. Secondly is I can quite quickly burn myself if I'm rushing. So close the door, that's the first thing. Second thing, you've got a chip pan, works at extremely high temperatures. You're pouring big heavy pieces of oil into it. You've got a dangerous splashing, again danger of burning. It's heavy, lift it properly, we'll come on to that in a minute. Obviously you've got a risk of spitting. You put frozen food into a chip fryer, it's going to come back on you. So that's a couple of things. Probably one of the most easiest ways to hurt yourself in a kitchen, when it's on busy, you've got a hot liquid suddenly going on the floor. Sorry Paul. Now then, if you don't clean that up, somebody's going to fall and they're going to hurt themselves. So that needs clean up pretty quickly. I'm not saying anything on that. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul. One thing you might actually forget, chemicals. Chemical food poisoning is probably one of the worst things to get into your system. So chemicals can injure you. It's a health and safety risk. Make sure they put where they should be put. It's crossing over to the level 2 food handler as well as not on a work area. So you've got that. You've obviously got issues with electricity. You've got a lot of water in the kitchen. You've got a lot of electrical items, you know, mixing and things. Keep them away from water. Now, one of the most dangerous and sharpest things to use, knives. You're going to be using them all the time. You're going to be cutting food, you're going to be prepping food, you're going to be busy. This is where you've got a real chance of making an accident. So make sure they're stored properly, nobody's going to catch them, and when you're working with them, take your time. Now, interesting point here is, this is a test kitchen, there's only me and Paul in, we're not at full service. Imagine this kitchen with 8 to 10 chefs and sous chefs in. There's a lot of heat, there's a lot of noise, which again we'll come on to later on. There's food being spilt on the floor, there's waiters and waitresses flying in and out. It's a busy place. That's when accidents happen. So when we talk about health and safety, it's very much your role as you're working in a busy environment to think about it. Am I going to cause somebody some harm? So just remember that. Think of a wedding venue that may be doing 200 covers that they have to get out in a 15 to 20 minute time slot. You know how busy those places are. That's where accidents are going to happen. Okay, we're very, very quickly going to recap on what are the most common causes of injury and the most common types of injury. But before we start, Paul's only been here a short while. This is his first ever attempt. French onion soup. If it's on the menu, I wouldn't bother. Sorry, mate.
Thanks.
Anyway, you've been here a very short while now. What are kind of the most common injuries you've seen in your short working life?
Just from the people we've been working with, a lot of the chefs have got lower arm burns,
Yep.
wrist burns,
Yep.
even backs of hands.
Yeah. Okay.
None of that.
Yeah, well, it is one of the most common causes. If you think about it, it's a very hot kitchen. There's a lot of service going on at once. You just splashed me then, thanks very much. So, you know, you're working with a lot of hot liquids, a lot of hot fats, a lot of hot food. You are going to get mistakes happen. And I said, picking things up too quickly, dropping, funnily enough, you just did a perfect one there. Just dropping in. Yeah, you're going to get burns. You'll get used to it, don't worry about it. So it's just about being careful. Don't care if it's busy. If I'm screaming at you that I want 6 French onion soups, which in fairness I probably wouldn't, but if you want 6 French onion soups, take your time, think, what am I doing? Is it going to injure me or not? And if it's a question of taking it slowly, using 2 hands, so that's going to spill, there's a potential spill in there. Do I need to get an oven glove? And take like that.
Yeah.
Think about it before you do it. Don't care at me shouting at you. That's what I do for a job anyway. Just think about your own personal safety and others around you. Okay?
Great, yeah.
Okay, but and I'll just quickly, you will probably get asked a question on this, and this is one that's a bit of a trick one. Stress, physical and verbal violence are some of the most common causes of injury. We've all seen the television programmes where the chefs are screaming and shouting at people. It happens all the time. I might need 30 of those going out and I'm stood over there screaming at you. I might come over and taste it and go, this is absolute, and just throw it in the bin. I'll lose my temper and say, get it on again. That's stress, that's possibly verbal. Well, it's definitely verbal. Yeah. It's possibly physically if I catch you with something going past. So there's a lot of things, best take it off the heat. There's a lot of things like that, so you need to really think about it. And we'll talk later in the chapters of how we actually deal with that as well. Okay?
Yeah.
We very quickly walked and talked you through the kitchen. We've showed you some of the potential hazards that are in a kitchen. We've also talked about some of the most common injuries that you can get in a kitchen. We've endured Paul's fantastic French onion soup. Sorry about that.
No worries.
What I'd like to do now is talk about something called the 3 factors that control health and safety in a food business. The first one is human factors. we're not robots. Some days you may come in, you'll do the job perfectly well, you'll think it through, you'll take your time, you won't cause an accident. Other days, you're rushing, you're tired, you're overworked. We can make mistakes very, very quickly. The second one is occupational factors. That's actually the role that you do within the business. So for example, if you're in a chip shop and you're looking after the fryer, you've more chance of getting a burn than the person actually serving on the till. So it's the actual role that you do in the job. And the third one is environmental factors, the actual place where you work. If you work in a building that's got big walk-in freezers sat there at -22, you've got to be in and out restocking, getting products. There's more of a chance of an accident. You can't actually affect your environment that you're working in. So that's one. There will be health and safety laws put into place to prevent you, for example, being in there too long, or you know, for not too short a time. So we'll come on to that later on. So you've got human factors, you've got occupational factors, the role that you're doing, you've got environmental factors, the actual building that you're working in. So that's the three. Interestingly, you put the three together and that is the recipe for disaster. That's kind of the key thing. If you can try to break them into different components and work on resolving the issues in each one, you'll dramatically reduce the chances of a major or serious accident. So, did you actually spot any of the mistakes we made in that first section? I actually made 3 mistakes. The first one you may not have actually noticed was actually I picked the drum of oil very badly. Don't worry about it at the moment, we'll come on to it in subsequent chapters. The second one was I actually dropped the spoon into the hot pan of soup that Paul was attempting to make. As you probably noticed, that splattered on myself and Paul. If that soup had been boiling, it would have caused a burn or a scald. So it's quite a serious thing that you don't want to be doing. And the third thing is, the spoon was hot. Paul complained that the actual spoon was very, very hot. And I said to him, don't worry, you'll get used to it. Actually, that's not true. Unfortunately, in our industry, you've got quite a macho attitude of you'll get used to holding hot things, grow up. Actually, it's not the case. It's a legal requirement of your employer to provide you with adequate safety gear. So it might actually be smoking gloves, and also from your point of view, is if it's a risk that you're not prepared to take, don't take it. Don't burn yourself because your boss tells you to. So kind of that's the 3 key mistakes that were made in that one.